Very, very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back after a long break. So, I hope you guys are doing good and I hope you are done with the syllabus of cost and management accounting. So, today I'll be taking marginal costing and I'll be covering all the concepts quickly, whatever I have discussed in my regular batch. Good morning, Mujahid. Good morning, Pooja. Good morning, Santosh Das. So, let's start with this chapter. No, I'll just summarize this chapter and then, if the time permits, we will discuss few questions that we have discussed in the regular batch also. So let's start with this chapter, marginal costing. Now, this chapter is based on few concepts what I have discussed in detail. As I've mentioned in other chapters also that there are no formulas in cost accounting. So again, in marginal costing also there are no formulas. But I'll be writing these formulas because I have discussed all the concepts in brief in my regular batch. So just for your reference, I'm writing what all concepts what I have discussed. The first part what we discussed was PV ratio, that is profit volume ratio. It is basically contribution divided by sales into 100. The second part what we discussed was break even sales. Break even sales is that level of sales where there is no profit, no loss. Break even sales can be calculated in rupees and in units. If you want to calculate it in rupees, it is fixed cost divided by PV ratio. And if you want to calculate it in units, it is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. So break-even sales is that level of sales where there is no profit, no loss. No profit, no loss. Or we can say sales is equals to total cost. It can be calculated either in rupees or in units. If you want to calculate it in rupees, it is fixed cost divided by PV ratio. And if you want to calculate it in units, it is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Thereafter, we discuss the concept of desired sales, wherein some information will be given in the question as regards profit. And question will ask you to earn this much of profit, how much sales is required. So again, desired sales can be calculated in two ways, that is in rupees or in units. It is, if you want to calculate it in rupees, so fixed cost plus desired profit divided by PV ratio. And if you want to calculate it in units, again same, fixed cost plus desired profit divided by contribution per unit. So I repeat again, desired sales in the question information will be given as regards profit, and the examiner will ask you to calculate the sales to earn that much of profit. So very simple, guys, fixed cost plus desired profit divided by PV ratio, and fixed cost plus desired profit divided by contribution per unit. The next part, what is there is margin of safety. Again, you can calculate it in rupees and in units. When talking about margin of safety, very simple, you can calculate it as actual sales minus break-even sales. Actual sales minus break-even sales is margin of safety, or alternatively, you can calculate it as profit divided by PV ratio. Similarly, if you want to calculate it in units, the same formula apply here. You can calculate it as actual sales in units minus break-even sales in units, or alternatively, you can calculate it as profit divided by contribution per unit. So very simple, guys. The first part, what generally the examiner do ask, and in fact, you have to calculate it in every question. That is P ratio, that is contribution divided by sales into 100. Thereafter, break-even sales in rupees and in units, that is fixed cost divided by PV ratio and fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Desired sales, if you want to calculate it in rupees, it is fixed cost plus desired profit divided by PV ratio. And if you want to calculate it in units, it is fixed cost plus desired profit divided by contribution per unit. Margin of safety, very simple. It's actual sales minus break-even sales or profit divided by PV ratio. If you want to calculate it in units, it is profit divided by contribution per unit. One more part, when two period figures are given, and question asks you to calculate the relevant data, for this you need to calculate PV ratio first. When talking about PV ratio, it is change in profit divided by change in sales into 100. So with the help of this formula, you can calculate PV ratio, and once PV ratio is calculated, you can easily calculate fixed cost and then rest of the figures what the question is asking. If you guys have any doubts or queries in this part, you guys can post your queries. In the meanwhile, this is a summary chart for all the formulas, so I request you guys to copy everything. Now, I'll be discussing two concepts with the help of practical problems. The first one is the key factor and second one is the sales mix. So for key factor, I'll be taking a random question. For key factor and for sales mix, I'll be taking one question. So let's start with this concept. Again, this concept cover everything in key factor. Because examiner do ask questions on key factor. So let's discuss key factor first of all, and then we will discuss one more point, that is sales mix related question, and then one make or buy based question. So let's start with this part, key factor. So let's say I manufacture three types of product. X, Y, and Z. And let's say the selling price of all the three products is 100, 100, and 100. Let's say my variable cost is 60, 70, and 80. So my contribution per unit will be 40, 30, and 20. Now let's say in question, some information is given in the question as regards key factor, that even though my requirement of raw material is very high, but my supplier said that I'll be able to provide only 60,000 kgs of raw material. So since raw material is in very limited quantity, so this raw material will be what my key factor. So वो resource जो बहुत हमारे पास limited available है, that resource is basically called as the key factor or limiting factor. Now what will be my object? To utilize each and every kg of raw material in such a way so that I can get the maximum out of it. So, assuming raw material is only 60,000 kgs available, now see, raw material required per unit is given in the question. Let's say 10 kgs, 5 kgs, and 4 kgs. So if such information is given in the question, we'll calculate first of all the contribution per kg of raw material, because my raw material is available in a very limited quantity and my object is to utilize the raw material in such a way so that I can get the maximum out of it. So herein we'll be calculating contribution per kg of raw material. So herein it will be 4, it will be 30 divided by 5, 6, and it will be 5. So highest contribution what we are getting is in product Y. So when talking about the priority order or rank, first we will manufacture Y, second we will manufacture Z, and at the third priority we'll be manufacturing X. So if there is unlimited demand for all the products, we'll be manufacturing product Y only. So let's take first situation. If there is unlimited demand of all the products, then product Y only. As the contribution per kg of raw material is highest, so how many units will be able to manufacture? Units manufactured will be 60,000 is my total raw material and every unit require 5 kgs. So 12,000 units. And my contribution will be how much? 12,000 units into the contribution per unit is 30. So this will be 3,60,000. So if there is unlimited demand for all the products, if there is unlimited demand of all the products, we'll be manufacturing product Y only. Reason being why? Because the contribution per kg of raw material is highest in case of Y. Now let's take the second situation wherein maximum demand is also given in the question, that without this, without this much of units we can't sell. I mean, these are the maximum number of units what we can sell in the market. So herein, let's say it is 5,000 units each of every product. That at the most we can manufacture only 5,000 units of a particular product. So second situation, when maximum demand is given and at the most we can manufacture only 5,000 units of a particular product. So no worries, first priority since it is allocated to Y, so we'll be manufacturing Y first. So my raw material available is 60,000 kgs. So we'll manufacture product Y first of all, since the contribution per kg of raw material is highest in case of Y. So the full 5,000 units will be manufactured and the raw material utilized will be 5 kg per unit. So that will be 25,000. So still we are left out with 35,000 now. So thereafter we'll manufacture product Z. Again 5 4s are 20, 4 kgs per unit and 5,000 units we have. So 20,000, yes, we have sufficient balance. So 5,000 into 4 kgs. So this will be 20,000. So still we are left out with 15,000 kgs of raw material. So now to manufacture product X in aggregate, we require 50,000 kgs, but we have only 15,000 kgs and actual requirement is 50,000 kgs. So at the most per unit required 10 kgs and we have 15,000 kgs. So at the most we can manufacture 1,500 units only of product X. So this is how this 60,000 kgs of raw material will be utilized. So in short, if we want to calculate contribution in this case, X we manufacture 1,500, Y we manufacture 5,000, Z we manufacture 5,000 into 40 into 30 into 20. This is how we'll get the contribution and the total contribution. So this is the way to deal if the maximum demand is given in the question. Now let's take the third situation wherein minimum demand is also given in the question, that is 2,000 units of a particular product. That is this much unit we have to manufacture for every product. So no worries. So the third situation, when maximum So very simple, guys. Since we have to manufacture this much units of every product, so we will first fulfill the minimum demand. We will first fulfill the minimum demand. We have 60,000 kgs of raw material, so we'll first fulfill the minimum demand, wherein we have to manufacture 2,000 units of a product. So 2,000 into 10 2000 into 5 plus 2000 into 4. So 38,000 is utilized to fulfill the minimum demand. Still, we are left out with how much? 22,000 kgs. Now, after fulfilling the minimum demand, we'll start with the priority order only. So herein, out of 5,000 units, 2,000 units are already manufactured for product Y. So still we can manufacture 3,000 units, and 3,000 require 15,000 kgs of raw material. And yes, we do have that extra raw material. So thereafter, we'll manufacture product Y. How many? 3,000 units. And the requirement is 5 kg per unit. One second. So we are left out with 7,000 kgs of raw material. And thereafter, the second priority will be given to Z. And for manufacturing Z, 1 unit of Z, 4 kgs is required. So for Z, we can manufacture at the most 1750 units. So this is how we will utilize the raw material of 60,000. Now, while calculating contribution, now we can easily calculate. So for product X, we manufactured only 2,000 units. That is to fulfill the minimum demand. And the contribution per unit is 40. For product Y, we manufactured full 5,000 units and the contribution per unit is 30. And for Z, 2,000 minimum demand and 1750 extra unit. So total 3750 units we manufacture and the contribution per unit is 20. So the total we will be getting is the contribution. So this is the overall summary of how to solve a question if the key factor based question is given, if the key factor based question is asked in exams. Further, very important, here in my raw material is my limiting factor. So my entire decision is based on what? Contribution per kg of raw material. And accordingly, after calculating the contribution per kg of raw material, we have decided the priority order. Let's say my labor hours are my limiting factor. If my labor hours are my limiting factor, here we'll be writing labor hours required per unit and we'll be calculating contribution per labor hour. After calculating the contribution per labor hour, we'll decide the ranks. So, very important, if the raw material is the limiting factor, the decision will be based on contribution per kg of raw material. If the labor hours are my limiting factor, my decision will be based on contribution per labor hour. So, herein, instead of writing raw material required per unit, we'll be writing labor hour required per unit and we'll be calculating contribution per labor hour. So anyways, guys, those who want to copy this part can please copy. So herein, so if raw material is my key factor, then the decision will be based on contribution per kg of raw material. If my key factor, then the decision will be based on contribution per labor hour. Next is if machine hours are my key factor, then the decision will be based on contribution per machine hour. For the two most important point, sales in value is my key factor, then the decision will be based on PV ratio. So the product with the highest PV ratio should be given first priority. Further, if sales in units is my key factor, then the entire decision will be based on contribution per unit. So the product with the highest contribution per unit will be given first priority. So these are the few points. I want you guys to copy these points. Yes, Pooja, Mujahid, any doubts? Yes, Pooja, Mujahid. You are done with all the question, Mujahid? Or still finding any difficulty in marginal costing? Any particular point you want me to address, Mujahid or Pooja? Okay. So these are the few points. What I want you guys to note it down. So the key is focus on the concepts. If you are thorough with the concepts, then you can solve any question. But yes, there is no end of marginal costing. Examiner can ask anything, guys. Anyways, let's proceed further with one point. What I want to discuss. That is question number 4, wherein we'll be discussing the concept of sales mix also. So I'll be covering all the points in detail in this class. So let's start with this question number 4 that is related to sales mix. So Vijay Limited makes and sell two products, V and J. The budgeted selling price of V, it is 1800 and that of J, it is 2160. So the selling price of two products, V and J, is given, that is 1800 and 2160. And the variable cost is also given, that is 900 and 1800. So annual fixed production and selling cost of V and J, it is 88,000. So the selling price is given for the two products, the variable cost is given for the two products separately, the fixed cost is given as a whole, that is 88,000. Now the company has two options, either to go in the ratio of 2 is to 3 or 1 is to 2. So you have to suggest that which one is the optimal mix, that is either 2 is to 3 or 1 is to 2. So when talking about which one is the optimal mix, we will check the PV ratio and the break even sales. So the mix with a higher PV ratio and lower break even sales will be anyways better than the other mix. So anyways, to judge and to find out the final decision, we have to calculate the PV ratio and break even sales. Now see herein in this question, the key point is that the fixed cost is not given separately for the two products. The fixed cost is given as a whole, and the two products selling price and variable cost are given separately. So herein in this case, we will be calculating the combined break-even sales and combined PV ratio, and then we will calculate the separate break-even sales for the two products. So let's start. There are few steps that need to be followed to solve this question. So again, the purpose of discussing this question is basically the concept of sales mix. So let's start first of all with the mix 2 is to 3, then we will discuss 1 is to 2 also, and then we'll write our final decision. So here in the selling price is given 1800 and 2160. The variable cost is given, that is 900 and 1800. So we will be able to calculate the contribution per unit, that is 900 and 360. Now let's assume that the sales let's assume that the sales mix is 2 is to 3. So we'll first calculate the combined PV ratio, wherein my contribution will be calculating the weighted average, basically the PV ratio 900 into 2 plus 360 into 3 divided by 1800 into 2. So this will be 1800 plus 1080 divided by 3600 plus So this is basically my combined PV ratio 28.57. Now we'll calculate the combined break-even sales. That is fixed cost divided by PV ratio. So my fixed cost is 88,000 for the company, and the overall company's PV ratio is 28.57%. So this will be 308015. So this is basically my combined break-even sales in rupees. If you want to distribute to the V and J, if you want to calculate the individual break-even sales of V and J, it can be distributed in this ratio, that is 1800 into 2 plus 2160 into 3. So the sales will be distributed in the sales ratio only, that is 3600 is to 6480. So this will be 1,10,005. So this is the individual break-even sales. This is basically my individual break-in sales for the two products. Further, if you want to calculate it in units also, we can simply divide it by selling price. That is my 1800 2160 will get the number of units. So this will be 92 units. This will be 62 units. So this is the way. I hope, Mujahid, now it is visible. Yes, Mujahid, the letters are visible. Okay. Now, alternatively, you can calculate break-even sales in units also. See, this is one of the way wherein if we divide it by selling price, we'll get the number of units. However, you can calculate the break-even sales in units directly also. For this, see herein, to calculate it in rupees, we have divided it by PV ratio. For calculating it in units, we have to divide it by weighted average contribution per unit. So here in my contribution per unit is 900 and 360. So 900 into the weight is 2 plus 360 into the weight is 3 divided by 2 plus 3, this is 5. So this is 576. Now, if you want to calculate, it will be my fixed cost 88,000 divided by 576. We'll get 153 units. This will be distributed in the ratio of 2:3. That is 62 units and 92. So this is the concept of sales mix based question, wherein you have to simply calculate first of all the contribution per unit. Thereafter, you have to check the sales mix, and then accordingly you can calculate the combined PV ratio. That is multiplying it by weight. The contribution is to be multiplied with weight divided by the selling price is also to be multiplied by weight. So we will get the combined PV ratio. Once the combined PV ratio is calculated, we will calculate the combined break-even sales. And now that break-even sales will be distributed in the ratio of the selling price into weight. So 1800 into 2 and 2160 into 3. So the combined break-even sales will be distributed in this ratio to calculate the individual break-even sales. If we divide it by the selling price per unit, we will get the number of units. Alternatively, you can calculate the number of units as simply we have to calculate the weighted average contribution per unit. Once the weighted average contribution per unit is calculated, we can calculate the combined break-even sales in unit. And these units will be distributed in the ratio of weight. Will not multiplied here with by selling price because it's not the amount, it's the units only. So this is how we have to deal with the sales mix based question. I request you guys to copy this explanation and at least giving you 5 minutes time to try with the other sales mix that is given in the material, that is 1:2. So I request you guys to first of all copy this part and thereafter at least try to solve this question using the sales mix 1:2. I'll be solving this part for your reference, but yes, just to check whether you guys are thorough with the concepts or not. So just test your knowledge that you are thorough with the concept or not. I'll be solving this part 1:2. So giving you 5 minutes time to copy this part and solve this part one. Where exactly you are finding difficult, Mujahid? This part, right? This is not decimal. This is comma. 1,10,005. See, 1,10,005 divided by selling price 1,800, you will get 62 units. Similarly, 198010 divided by 2160. See, this is the total sales. If we divide it by the selling price, we will get the units. I hope it is clear, Mr. Mujahid. This is 1,10,005 divided by 1,800. We will get the units. I hope it is clear, Mujahid. How I got 1,10,005? So see, the total sales 308015 is divided in the ratio of 3,600 is to 6,480. So 308015 into 3,600 divided by 10080. I'll get this value 1,10,005. Very good, Pooja. I hope it is clear now, Mujahid. So let's proceed further with the next sales mix. Wherein we'll first calculate the combined PV ratio. That is 1,800 into 1. Sorry. So now next is combined break-even sales. So this will be 3,32,000, 3,32,452. If you want to calculate separately for V and J, it will be distributed in the ratio of 1800 is to 4320. So this will be 97780. It will be 234,672. If you want to calculate it in units, we have to simply divide it by our selling price, that is 1800 and 2160. It is 109 units. Is 55 units. So this is the way. Apart from this, if you want to calculate it in units, you have to follow this approach wherein you have to first calculate the weighted average contribution per unit, and thereafter you can calculate the break-even sales in units separately for both the products. If anyone having any doubts or queries, those who are watching our portal or YouTube can post your queries over portal. I'm here to address all your queries. So we are done with this part. Sales mix based query, sales mix based concept. Now I want you guys to open the material what I have provided, and I request you guys to open question number. One second. I request you guys to open question number 7. This question I just want to discuss it in my regular class, but I was not being able to do it. So this question number 7 is a very good question. Again, the concept is altogether same what I have discussed. So those who are watching over Zoom, especially Pooja and Mujahid, you are quite regular in my regular classes. So just try to solve question number 7, and those who are watching over YouTube or over any other portal, you can post the final answer over the portal. I want you guys to try this question number 7. Just try it and try to post your answer on question number 7, giving you 5 minutes time to post your answer on question number 7. Again, there is nothing new. This is all related to the concepts what I have discussed till now. So whatever the answers you are ready with, do post your answers. Yes, Pooja and Mujahid, you are over Zoom, so just try to solve and post your answer on this question. No new concept, everything is same what I have discussed, but okay, again, there is a bit of twist in this question. So just try to solve it. Question number 7. I want answers from all of you. Just try to solve it and post your answers. Examiner can ask these types of questions. So just try to solve this question. How you will deal with if this type of question comes in exam. So just try to write your answer, and whatever the answers you are getting, do post your answers. The key point is basically the new fixed cost, that is the key. Yes, Mujahid and Pooja, are you guys ready with the answer? Yes, waiting for your answers. There are 2 to 3 ways to solve this question. Yes, it's not easy. That's what it is. Just try it. It's just to test your knowledge. Yes, Pooja, are you trying? Yes, Santosh, any answers from your end? Anyone else ready with the answer? Last 2 to 3 minutes for this answer. Waiting for your answers. Yes, Pooja. Anyone ready with the answer? Fine, guys. Let's take a break of 15 minutes. In this 15 minutes, do try to solve this question. It's a very good question. So just try to solve this question on your own. Again, there are no new concepts. It's altogether related to the concepts what I have discussed till date. So try to solve this question and be ready with the answers. Whatever the answers you are getting, you have to simply mention that how much is the saving in the fixed cost. That is what you have to mention. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. Edwin sir, are you there? Admin sir, are you there? Admin sir, fine, no problem. Let's take a break of 15 minutes. Admin sir, are you there? Admin sir? Admin sir, are you there? Ajit sir, are you there? Admin sir? Admin sir, are you there? So anyways, guys, so let's proceed further. So are you ready with the answer, Mr. Mujahid? Okay, fine. So I'll just discuss this part wherein I'll discuss the part therein how to calculate the saving in the cost. So see, Ever Forward Limited is manufacturing and selling two products, Splash and Flash, at a selling price of rupees 3 and 4 respectively. So currently they are selling their products at the rate of 3 and 4 respectively. The following sales strategy has been outlined for the year 2025, wherein the sales plan for the year will be 7,20,000 in case of Splash and 3,50,000 in case of Flash. To meet the competition, the selling price of Splash will be reduced by 20% and that of Flash will be reduced by 12.5%. Break-even sales is planned at 60% of the total sales of each product. Further, the profit for the year to be achieved is planned at 69,120 in case of Splash and rupees 17,500 in case of Flash. This would be possible by launching a cost reduction program and reducing the present annual fixed cost of 1,35,000 allocated as rupees 1,08,000 to Splash and 27,000 to Flash. You are required to present the proposal in financial terms, giving clearly the following information regarding the number of units to be sold of Splash and Flash to break even, as well as the total number of units of Splash and Flash to be sold during the year. Reduction in fixed expenses product wise, that is investigated by the cost reduction program. So, anyways, let's start with this question. Herein in this question, the key is basically the calculation of fixed cost. That is calculation of new fixed cost. Pooja, are you ready with the answer? Yes, Pooja. No worries. So let's start with this part. Herein, so let's start with the selling price. So see, Ever Forward is manufacturing and selling two products, Splash and Flash, at a selling price of 3 and 4. However, there is a reduction in selling price. To meet the competition, the selling price of Splash will be reduced by 20%. So the revised selling price will be 2.4 rupees for Splash and 4 minus, so that will be 3.5 for Flash. The sales has been given in the question. That is 7,20,000 and 3,50,000. So we will get the sales in units also. So sales in units will be 7,20,000 divided by 2.4. So this will be 3 lakh units. This will be 1 lakh units. Further, it is given in the question. Further, it is given in the question that the break-even sales is planned at 60% of the total sales of each product. So let's write down the break-even sales in rupees also. That is 7,20,000 into 60%. That is 4,32,000 will be my break-even sales. And margin of safety sales will be how much? 2,88,000. I'm just writing the question, whatever the information that is given in the question. So herein in the second case also 3,50,000 is the total sales. So 60% will be my break-even sales. So that is 2,10,000 will be my break-even sales. And 1,40,000 will be my margin of safety. Profit is given in the question. That is, profit for the year to be achieved is planned at 69,120 in case of splash and 17,000 in case of flash. 69,120 in case of splash and 17,500 in case of flash. So see, we have the total sales. It is given sales planned for the year. It is 7,20,000 and 3,50,000. So we have the total sales. We have the break-even sales. We have the margin of safety sales and profit. We can easily calculate the PV ratio. That is profit divided by margin of safety. Generally, profit divided by PV ratio is what? Margin of safety. Profit divided by PV ratio is margin of safety. So we can calculate as profit divided by margin of safety into 100 will be what? My PV ratio. My PV ratio will be 24%. And for this, it will be 12.5%. So we have the break-even sales and we have the PV ratio. So we can easily calculate the fixed cost. So break-even sales into PV ratio. This will be my new fixed cost, that is 103680. Similarly, for the second case also 2,10,000 into 12.5%, that is 26,250. 26. So this is my new fixed cost. It is given in the question that this would be possible by launching a cost reduction program and reducing the present fixed cost of 1,35,000 as allocated rupees 1,08,000 to splash and 27,000 to flash. So this is the cost that need to be reduced. And how much it is to be reduced? This much it is to be reduced. So this is the new fixed cost. So we can say saving in the fixed cost is how much? So current fixed cost is how much? That is 1,08,000 and 27,000. Proposed fixed cost 1,03,680 and 26,250. So saving in fixed cost, this will be 750. This will be 4,320. So this is the way you have to solve the question. So where exactly the question was difficult? Yes, Pooja and Mujahid, where exactly the question was difficult? Tell me. Yes, Pooja. See, Mujahid, I'm just writing the question. Selling price, this is calculated. Sales is given in the question. So if we divide sales by selling price, we will get the units. Once the sales in units is calculated, okay. Now sales is given, we can calculate the break-even sales, that is 4,32,000 and 2,10,000. Now actual sales minus break-even sales is margin of safety. What is margin of safety? Actual sales minus break-even sales. So this is margin of safety. Profit, it is given in the question. So PV ratio, we can easily calculate, that is profit divided by margin of safety into 100. So once PV ratio is calculated, we can easily calculate the fixed cost. So what went wrong, Pooja, Mujahid? Yes? See, the key is focus on the concepts, read the question carefully. Half of the work is done if you read the question carefully. Thereafter, the best way is to write down the extract. See, I have written the new selling price, I have written the sales. So with these two, I can calculate the units also. Now, see, since break even sales is 60% of the total sales, 60% of the total sales. So I have calculated break even sales. Now we have the break even sales and sales is given. So we can easily calculate margin of safety. That is 40% of the total sales. Profit is given in the question. So we have calculated PV ratio. Now, if we multiply break even sales with PV ratio, we can easily get the fixed cost. Yes, it happens. Sometimes that's okay. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Yes, Pooja. I request you guys to copy the solution. Admin sir, are you there? No worries, Pooja. That's okay. Are you done with your with the other chapters, Pooja? Admin sir, are you there? Guys, just give me some time. The concerned person is not there. I need to just shut down the system and such. Just give me a minute time, please.
Tag team. Tag team.
एडमिन सर, आर यू देयर?
Yes, sir.
सर कहाँ चले गए थे? मैं ऑफलाइन हूं ना अभी।
ऑनलाइन है सर आप?
ऑफलाइन कीजिए आप।
एक सेकंड। भार्गव जी।
ऑफलाइन और ऑनलाइन ना।
सर 1 सेकंड।
हाँ जी। हाँ, मैं ऑफलाइन हूँ या ऑनलाइन सर? आप ऑफलाइन कीजिए मुझे आप एक बार। एम आई ऑनलाइन और ऑफलाइन ना? सर वो जो यूट्यूब पे लाइव चल रहा है आप उसको ऑफलाइन कीजिए ना एक बार। एक मिनट रुकिए सर। मैं इसीलिए आपको बोल रहा था कि आप अगर ऑनलाइन मेरी क्लास में क्या है, जनरली मुझे ऑनलाइन चाहिए कोई ना कोई, इसके लिए। ओके, विजिबिलिटी ऑल ओके है ना सर? लेटर्स आर विजिबल। ओके, आप लाइव कीजिए। एम आई लाइव नाउ? ओके, sorry for this technical break, friends. So let's proceed further. So herein the key is basically understanding the question, understanding the language of the question, writing down the extracts of the question, and thereafter you can just try try to solve the question, whatever that is asked in the question. So this is all what about this question. So let's proceed with one more question, wherein I'll be covering the shutdown point part, because again, this part is also very important. So I request you guys to refer question number, one second. I request you guys to refer question number. Question number 3. I request you guys to open question number 3. So let's start with question number 3. Wherein a paint manufacturing company manufactured 2 lakh per annum medium-sized tin of royal paint when working at normal capacity. It incurs the following cost of manufacturing per unit, wherein direct material is given, labor cost is given, variable overheads are given, fixed overheads are given, the total production cost is given. Each unit of a product is sold for rupees 21 with a variable and selling and administration expenses of 60 paisa per tin. During the next quarter, only 10,000 units can be produced and sold. Management planned to shut down the plant, estimating that the fixed manufacturing cost can be reduced to 74,000 for the quarter. So there is a fixed saving in fixed cost if we shut down the plant for this quarter. When the plant is operating, the fixed overheads are incurred at a uniform rate throughout the year. Additional cost of plant shutdown for the quarter is 14,000. So to express your opinion along with the calculation as to whether the plant should be shut down during the quarter, and further to calculate the shutdown point for the quarter in units, that is in the number of tins. So here in this question, the key is the calculation of shutdown point, the point where we are indifferent, that चालू रखो बंद रखो एक जितना ही नुकसान होने वाला है, in simple terms. Anyways, so let's start with this question. So herein the selling price is given. Material cost is 7.8. Labor cost is 2.1. Variable overheads are 2.5. Further, the selling and administration variable cost is per tin. So this is all what about the variable cost. So my total variable cost per unit will be 13. So my contribution per unit will be 8. When talking about fixed cost, it's given in the question that the company manufactured 2 lakh units per annum, medium sized tin, and the fixed cost is 4 rupees. And further, some additional information is given. When the plant is operating, the fixed costs are incurred at a uniform rate throughout the year. So let's calculate the fixed cost for the quarter, because we have to decide that the plant should be shut down during the quarter or not. So 2 lakhs are the total number of units that are manufactured in a year. The fixed cost is rupees 4 per unit. So the total fixed cost for the year is 8 lakh. And quarterly fixed cost is how much? Divided by 4, since there are 4 quarters in a year. So quarterly fixed cost is how much? 2 lakh. This is my quarterly fixed cost. Now see, it's given in the question that you are required to find out first of all the shutdown point, and further to express your opinion along with calculation as to whether the plant should be shut down during the quarter or not. So let's start with the first part, wherein it is given that during the next quarter only 10,000 units can be produced and sold. So contribution will be how much in the next quarter? 10,000 units can be manufactured and sold into 8. That is 80,000. And my fixed cost for the quarter is how much? So loss if the plant is operating. Loss if the plant is operational. But suppose if we shut down. If we shut down, so how much will be my cost? See, it is given in the question that management plans to shut down the plant, estimating that the fixed manufacturing cost can be reduced to 74,000. So if we shut down the plant, the fixed manufacturing cost will be how much? Only 74,000. Plus C, additional cost is also given. That is, additional cost of plant shutdown is 14,000. So total it is 88,000. So see, in the next quarter, if we shut down the plant, there is a loss of, in the next quarter, if we shut down the plant, there is a loss of 88,000. But if we continue the plant, there is a loss of 1,20,000. So अगर plant चालू रखते हैं तो नुकसान कितना होता है? 1,20,000. And if we shut down the plant, how much is the loss? 88,000. So it is advisable better to shut down the plant only. It is advisable to shut down the plant. If we continue with the operation, there is a loss of 1,20,000. If we shut down, there is a loss of 88,000. So herein the loss is less as compared to when the plant is operating. So it's better to shut down the plant. Now, second point, very important, is basically the shutdown point. I have discussed it in my regular batch that again, what is the concept of shutdown point? This is the point where we are indifferent. This is the point where we are indifferent that चालू रखो बंद रखो एक ही जितना loss होने वाला है. Again I repeat, when talking about the concept of shutdown point, it's the point where we are indifferent. That is, if we shut down also, the loss will be the same, and if we continue also, the loss will be the same. So the point is, if we shut down, max to max loss is how much? 88,000. So if we continue and the loss is 88,000, it means at this point we are indifferent. So herein, when talking about the formula that is given in the study material, that is total fixed cost minus shutdown cost divided by contribution per unit. So 2 lakh divided by 88,000 whole divided by 8. Now, how come this formula is derived that I have already discussed in detail in my regular batch? So this will be 14,000 units. Now, when talking about these 14,000 units, this is the indifferent point that if the production, if we are manufacturing and selling 14,000 units, we are indifferent. If we are manufacturing and selling 14,000 units, we are indifferent. If we continue also, the loss will be 88,000. And if we discontinue also, that is, if we shut down the plant, the cost is 88,000. So this is basically the shutdown point. The point where we are indifferent, that is to continue or not to continue, the loss will be the same. I request you guys to copy the solution. It's a very good question. Examiner can ask such type of questions. I want to discuss one more question. So sharing the screen of this question, I request you guys to take the screenshot of this question. This question is not uploaded. Question number 6, I request you guys to take the screenshot. It's a very good question. And again, it's pure mathematics, nothing related to the concepts. But yes, it's pure mathematics. If you are thorough with the basic concepts, you can solve this question. So I request you guys to take the screenshot of question number 6, wherein XY Limited makes two products, X and Y, whose respective fixed costs are F1 and F2. So there are two products. Product X and product Y. I'm just writing the extracts of the question whose respective fixed costs are F1 and F2. So for product X, the fixed cost is F1, and for product Y, the fixed cost is F2. You are given that the contribution, you are given that the contribution per unit of Y is 1/5 less than the contribution of X. So again, I repeat, you are given that the contribution per unit of Y is 1/5 less than the contribution of X. So anyway, it's very simple. Let's say the contribution of X be Cx. If the contribution of X be Cx, then contribution of Y be one minus 1/5 less 1 minus 1 minus 1 by 5 cx. We can say contribution of y, cy, be cx minus 1 by 5 cx. So there it will be 4 by 5 cx. So if the contribution of x is cx, then contribution of y will be cy, and that will be equal to 4/5 of cx. Or we can say it is 0.8 cx. So if the contribution of x is cx, then cy will be how much? 0.8 of cx. Further, it is given that the total of F1 and F2, that is the total of fixed cost 1 and fixed cost 2, is 1,50,000. So F1 plus F2 is equals to 1,50,000. So fixed cost of X plus fixed cost of Y is equals to 1,50,000. Further, it is given that the break-even point of X is 1,1800 units. Break-even point of product X is how much? 1,800 unit. For break-even point of X, F2 is not considered. Anyways, we will not consider. And that 3,000 units is the indifference point between X and Y. That is both on equal profit at 3,000 units. There are no inventory buildup. Whatever is produced and sold, find out the values of F1 and F2 and the contribution of X and Y. So anyways, let's start with this question. Indifference point is 3,000 units. So see, let's start with this question wherein the first thing is F1 plus F2 is equals to how much? 1,50,000. So fixed cost of X plus fixed cost of Y is 1,50,000. Now see, break-even point is given 1,800 units. Break-even point is given 1,800 units. If we multiply 1,800 units, see how we calculate break-even point. How we calculate break-even point? Fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. So if we want to calculate fixed cost, it is break-even point multiplied by contribution per unit. So here in break-even point is given for product X, that is 1,800 units. So for fixed cost of product X, that is F1 will be equal to 1,800 units. 1,800 units into the contribution of X, that is CX. So this will be basically the fixed cost of product X. Just try to recollect it, guys. It's very simple. Just try to understand what I'm discussing. Just try to understand what I'm discussing. So now F1 is equals to what? 1,800 CX. So we can say this is the fixed cost of product X. So how much will be F2? 1,50,000 minus F1, and the value of F1 is how much? 1,800 CX. So this will be the fixed cost of product Y. So this will be the fixed cost of product Y and this will be the fixed cost of product X. Now, with the help of indifference point, we will just solve this question. This is the point where we earn equal profit. And what is profit? Contribution minus fixed cost. So, contribution per unit of X is how much? CX. So, 3000 CX. This is the total contribution of product X minus contribution minus fixed cost. Fixed cost is how much? 1800 CX is basically the fixed cost of F1. It should be equal to the contribution of per unit of Y, that is 0.8 CX. So 3000 into 0.8 CX. This is what my contribution minus fixed cost of F2 is how much? Minus 1,50,000 minus 1800 CX. Minus 1,50,000 minus 1800 CX. So I repeat again, this is the contribution of X minus the fixed cost of X. Further, the contribution of Y minus the fixed cost of Y. I hope this part is clear, Mr. Mujahid. So let's solve this question now. So 3000 CX minus 1800 CX. This will be 1200 CX. 1 second. So 3000 CX minus 1800 CX. This will be 1200 CX. It should be equal to 2400 CX minus 1,50,000 plus 1800 CX. So this will be how much? $3,000 CX should be equal to minus 1,50,000. So CX is equals to so contribution per unit of X will be how much? Rupees 50. So we can easily calculate Y, that is 50 into 0.8, that is 40. Thereafter, we can calculate the fixed cost of X also. That is 1800 into CX. 1800 into CX, that is 50. So this will be 90,000. So F2 will be how much? 1,50,000 minus 90,000. That is 60%. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. If you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can post your queries. So I repeat again, product X and product Y, these are two products. The product X fixed cost is F1 and product Y fixed cost is F2. So let's assume that the contribution per unit of X is CX. Therefore, contribution per unit of Y be CY, and it is CX minus 1.5 minus 1 divided by 5, because it is given that the contribution of Y is 1/5 less than the contribution of X. So CX minus 1 by 5 CX will be 4 by 5 CX. That will be what? The contribution of Y. That is, we can say it is 0.8 CX. Now F1 plus F2 is 1,50,000. Break-even point of X is given 1800 units and the indifference point is given 3000 units. Now the first thing is F1 plus F2 is 1,50,000. Now fixed cost of 1 we can easily calculate with the help of this way, wherein the units are given, that is break-even point is in units is given 1800. If we multiply it by contribution of x, we will get the fixed cost of x. So we will get the value of F1 as 1800 into Cx. So F1 plus F2 is 1,50,000. So F2 will be what? 1,50,000 minus F1. That is 1800 Cx. Now with the help of indifference point, we will calculate, we will equate this. When talking about indifference point, it's the point where both the profit of both the products are equal. So herein, this is what the contribution of X. See, 3,000 units into the contribution of X minus the fixed cost of X. This is the contribution of X minus fixed cost of X. This is what the profit of X. This should be equal to the profit of Y. And when talking about the profit of Y, it will be calculated in the similar way. That is what? Contribution of Y minus fixed cost of Y. So what will be the contribution of Y? That is 3,000 units into contribution of Y, that is 0.8 Cx minus fixed cost of Y. Fixed cost of Y we have already identified, that is 1,50,000 minus 1800. So just simplifying it, we will get the value of X, so that we can calculate the value of Y. And once the value of X and Y is calculated, we can easily calculate the fixed cost of X and Y. So this is all got about this question. And again, with the help of this question, we have understood the concept of indifference point. That is the point where the profits are same of both the products. And when talking about profit, it is contribution minus fixed cost. So contribution minus fixed cost of X minus should be equal to contribution minus fixed cost of Y. So the profit is equal in both the cases. So in the indifference point, we can calculate the values wherein we can equate both the products' profit. So I hope this part is clear, Mujahid and Pooja. Anyone having any doubts or queries, you guys can post. I'm done with the explanation for today. Anyone with any doubts or queries? Yes, Pooja, Mujahid, Santosh. No worries, that's okay. It requires practice, but I hope the concepts are clear. Okay, fine. So anyways, guys, this is all what about marginal costing. Again, the concepts are the key. Don't try to memorize the formulas. If the questions are straightforward, you will be able to apply the formulas. But if the questions are on the trickier side, you have to be thorough with the concepts. So try to memorize the concepts, what I have discussed in my regular batch. Both of you guys were quite regular in all my lectures. So just check the recorded session. Those who have not attended my regular class, just you can check the recorded session over the portal. And once you are done with all the sessions, then try to solve all the questions of study material, then practical problems of study material, then variety of questions are given in the past practice manual. So you can refer past practice manuals also. Once you are done with all these questions, just try to solve few past examination question, MTPs, RTPs. So this is the best way to plan your studies for every chapter. So today is my last session. I'm till the last date of your exams. I'm available on cma-inter@icai.in. So whatever the queries you have, you can straight away post your queries on cma-inter@icai.in. Addressing my name, I'll be addressing all your queries. Don't worry, guys. So work hard. Try to practice as many as possible questions in writing. Costing is the subject wherein you can easily score marks, but the student fail to score marks. The only reason is that they are memorizing the formula. Second thing is lack of writing practice, because most of the students are not being able to complete the paper. The only reason is that lack of writing practice. So don't do ticking. Try to solve as many as possible questions in writing. Focus on the concepts. No one can stop you from scoring 75% plus marks in costing. It's very easy. So take care of yourself. God bless you. Wish you good luck for your exams. Still, if you have any doubts or queries, just write a mail to me. I'll be there to address all your queries. So take care, guys. God bless you. See you very soon. Thank you. Admin sir, are you there? Yes. So I'm done with the session. Thank you so much, Mujahid. Take care. God bless you.